They came from a silence deeper than any ocean, through a vacuum that had never known mercy. The Armada glided between moons, 33,000 vessels moving as one mind, immaculate in form and thought. Their engines did not roar, they whispered in gravity tones. Their hulls were carved from alloys that could withstand suns. On 1,000 conquered worlds they had landed, and every one had knelt. They did not come to negotiate. They came to finish history. Earth hung beneath them like an unassuming marble, blue and white, and alive with weather. Its electromagnetic field shimmered faintly, irrelevant against their shielding. The invasion algorithms predicted a 1-hour campaign. Resistance probability, negligible. Loss projection, 0. They watched the data stream and believed in the precision of their own arrogance. Dropships unfolded from the bellies of warships like spores from a celestial fungus. The soldiers inside stood weightless, armored in living metal that mirrored their nervous systems. No emotion, no fear. Their language lacked a word for surrender. The fleet commander watched the descent telemetry cascade across the visor, a perfect ballet of logistics, every unit descending toward predetermined coordinates. Cities, deserts, oceans, mountain ranges. Every terrain accounted for, every variable controlled. The first craft breached the atmosphere at dawn. Ionization halos wreathed the sky, painting silver scars across the upper clouds. From the ground, humanity looked upward in collective pause. Cameras caught glints of light they could not name. Governments scrambled half-formed orders. But nothing on Earth had time to act. The invasion unfolded faster than comprehension. Then, without warning, the descent slowed. Altitude markers stuttered. Guidance systems hiccuped. One drop pod tilted 30 degrees off axis. The pilot compensated, unaware that the entire system matrix was subtly fracturing. Magnetic fields twisted in impossible harmonics. Instruments no longer agreed on which direction gravity pointed. The soldiers didn't panic. Panic was not written into them. They adjusted parameters, resynced to fleet protocols, trusted in mathematics. Then, one by one, their pulses spiked. Inside the first landing craft, the commander's biometric readouts flashed red. Oxygen nominal. Pressure nominal. Neural coherence. Collapsing. A shriek of static filled the internal comms. Not sound but thought distortion. Something in the atmosphere pressed against cognition itself, like invisible fingers trying to pry open the folds of the brain. Sensors reported nothing. Only an echo of data loops returning from nowhere. By the time the first ship touched ground in a barren steppe, its passengers were already convulsing in zero-pattern spasms. The doors opened to release elite soldiers who fell forward as if struck by unseen hammers. Their armor systems tried to stabilize bodily functions but could not interpret the cause. No toxins, no radiation, no thermal surge, just collapse. In orbit, Fleet Command observed silence where there should have been status reports. Telemetry flickered between clarity and nonsense. Every attempt to ping ground units returned a digital scream. Pure carrier noise, modulated at frequencies no algorithm could compress. Engineers tore through diagnostics. Their voices wavered with something close to disbelief. Hardware flawless. Software pure. The failure existed only inside the living minds. More landers touched down across continents. The same pattern repeated. Contact, paralysis, death. At first, the command staff assumed sabotage, perhaps a planetary defense they could not detect. Yet no human military interference appeared. Satellite scans showed cities still glowing in nighttime grids. Traffic still moving. People still going about their small lives. No weapon signatures. No mass mobilization. The invaders were dying, and humanity hadn't fired a shot. Within minutes, orbital telemetry recorded the biological signatures of thousands extinguishing. Inside the command bridge of the flagship, silence thickened. Monitors filled with cascading alerts. They ran scenario simulations, microbial contamination, atmospheric imbalance, gravitational divergence. All returned null. Something deeper was wrong, something no machine could measure. The commander demanded a full sensor sweep of the planet's electromagnetic profile. The results arrived blanketed in static patterns resembling fractal noise. Analysts stared at the data until their eyes watered. Embedded within the static were oscillations shaped like neural activity, but planetary in scale, as if the entire biosphere possessed a heartbeat. The frequencies matched the collapsed spikes of every fallen soldier. The possibility was dismissed at first as coincidence, then reconsidered when more units fell without contact. Ships in high orbit began reporting minor communication distortions. Crew members complained of dizziness, headaches, intrusive imagery, flashes of oceans, burning forests, laughter, crying. They called it interference, but the images felt real. They started hearing whispers in languages they did not know. Hours passed. Entire divisions were gone. Sensors confirmed no enemy movement, no human response teams, no missiles, no laser grids, no tactical deployments. Just this endless, unprovoked decay of minds. Medical officers attempted to isolate neural recordings from the fallen. The data revealed a crescendo of cognitive overload, brain activity surging beyond biological limits, then imploding. Like thought itself had turned toxic. The fleet transmitted emergency code to their homeworld. The message did not arrive. Relay satellites turned deaf. Transmission relays returned their own signal a fraction of a second delayed, yet inverted, mirrored, like the planet itself was mocking them. Every effort to reestablish a communication link amplified the distortion. For the first time in centuries, the invincible species experienced silence. A technician attempted a direct quantum channel. The moment synchronization completed, blood leaked from her auditory canals. Her vitals flatlined. Autopsy revealed microscopic fractures in neural tissue, patterns identical to resonant harmonics. Her mind had vibrated itself apart. The commander ordered a total communication blackout. Isolation from the planet's frequencies might preserve the rest. But containment was a myth. Thought contagion travels faster than light. Inside the flagship's observation bay, the commander stood before the Earth. Clouds drifted over continents like indifferent ghosts. Nothing about the world seemed hostile, yet every sensor described an impossible hostility, not from weaponry, but from existence itself. They considered orbital bombardment, sterilized the biosphere and the anomaly, but calculations failed. Targeting computers refused to lock. Algorithms froze on the concept of Earth. The system didn't know what to aim at. Crew members began collapsing, not from violence, simply ceasing, their minds blanking as if overwritten by incomprehensible code. One officer muttered that he could hear the planet breathing. Another laughed until his throat tore open. A third gouged out his eyes, claiming the light itself was screaming. None of these events appeared on sensor logs, only the screams. Days dissolved into something shapeless. Command protocols degraded. Ships drifted from formation. Automated systems attempted correction, but navigation software began inserting human broadcast frequencies into its memory buffers. Snippets of radio chatter, ancient television. They found the bodies first. They were scattered across deserts, forests, city outskirts, gleaming remnants of a war that never happened. The suits were intact, their surfaces rippling faintly with residual charge, like dormant hearts refusing to admit death. No signs of combat. No burns, no projectiles, no fractures. Just beings frozen mid-motion, as though time had been commanded to stop. Task forces moved in wearing hazard gear, not from courage but from disbelief. The first human who dared touch one of the alien forms expected retaliation, yet nothing stirred. The armor yielded with the gentleness of silk, separating into petals of metallic tissue. Beneath it lay creatures that seemed both divine and pitiful. Symmetrical faces, translucent veins, musculature designed for perfection. Their eyes were open, empty, looking at something beyond the horizon that wasn't there. Every scientific agency on the planet demanded a sample. Laboratories filled with the smell of sterilization, the hum of translation software, the whisper of nervous scientists trying to be calm while handling the impossible. Autopsies revealed a body chemistry resistant to every known pathogen. Their organs were engineered, self-repairing, immune to entropy, except the brain. That was dust. Neural tissue degraded into a lattice of black glass, every synapse burnt through by unknown energy. It wasn't decay. It was erasure. The discovery went viral before governments could contain it. Images of alien corpses flooded networks, grainy and trembling, followed by speculation, worship, fear. Some said humanity had been spared by divine protection. Others claimed the invaders had committed mass suicide and shame. The truth was stranger and infinitely colder. Military analysts examined the wreckage of the dropships. Their internal systems were untouched, yet every data core had looped itself into corruption. Endless strings of human frequencies embedded inside. Radio static, television jingles, snippets of emergency broadcasts, even fragments of love songs decades old. The alien computers had recorded the planet's noise and choked on it. In an underground facility, a team of neurologists studied the recovered helmets. Each contained a living metal neural interface designed to mirror the wearer's thought patterns. When they powered one up, the interface replayed the last seconds of stored cognition. What came through was not words. It was a torrent, waves of emotional residue, terror blended with awe, and a single recurring image that none of them could explain. Billions of human faces overlapping until they became light. The scientists detached the power supply, trembling. One whispered that it felt like standing inside a crowd that stretched across time. No one replied. They simply labeled the data uninterpretable and sealed the file. Weeks passed. Global response shifted from panic to obsession. Excavations of crash sites became international competitions. The United Nations formed committees, task forces, secret divisions. Each sought to claim the technology that had annihilated itself. Yet no weapon systems functioned. No engines restarted. The alien alloy corroded when exposed to human touch, as if rejecting ownership. A rumor spread among recovery teams. Those who stayed too long near the corpses experienced vivid dreams. Some woke screaming, others crying. They spoke of seeing the universe through alien eyes, planets sterile, civilizations obedient, beauty without chaos. Then they saw Earth and the vision fractured. Every human emotion poured through them like acid until they begged to wake. Psychologists called it contamination of suggestion. The soldiers called it haunting. One night, in a laboratory buried under Geneva, a physicist connected the remains of a neural core to a spectral analyzer. The machine displayed interference identical to low-frequency brain waves, repeating at intervals matching the Schumann resonance of Earth's atmosphere. The planet's own electromagnetic hum had the same rhythm as human thought. They stared at the graph, then at each other. No one said the word alive, but all felt it. The next morning, 3 more labs confirmed the reading. Earth emitted a frequency that mirrored human consciousness. It was faint, omnipresent, ancient. The realization spread quietly among those who understood. The aliens had not been killed by any human weapon, but by resonance with the planet, with the collective noise of its inhabitants. Meetings convened behind closed doors. In concrete rooms filled with cigarette smoke and fear, generals and scholars argued whether to announce it. To tell 7 billion people that their shared existence was lethal to other intelligences seemed unwise. They chose silence. Yet information leaked through rumor, as it always does, transformed into myth before it reached the streets. Some said the Earth had defended itself. Others whispered that humanity was cursed, toxic to the universe. Conspiracy channels exploded with theories of psychic warfare, planetary souls, divine frequencies. The truth, stripped of superstition, was more terrifying. Humanity's chaos was measurable. Across different nations, separate teams conducted experiments exposing alien neural tissue to human recordings. The result was consistent. Whenever the playback included raw human emotion, laughter, weeping, or music, the sample disintegrated at a molecular level. Silence caused nothing. Emotion destroyed it. The pattern was undeniable. They called the phenomenon cognitive toxicity. To understand emotion was to perish from it. Meanwhile, ordinary life persisted. Crowds returned to work. Children went to school. The world resumed its anxious rhythm. But beneath the calm, a new kind of pride took root. Half holy, half dangerous. The knowledge that humanity had survived by being unbearable to comprehend became a quiet anthem. Late-night shows joked that Earth was the universe's quarantine zone. Philosophers called it poetic justice. Theologians called it revelation. In the ruins of one fallen warship, a biologist discovered a message fragment stored in alien code. After weeks of decryption, the translation emerged. Their atmosphere sings in grief. No coordinates, no strategy, only that. The phrase circulated among researchers like a virus. Sings in grief. They began listening to atmospheric recordings with new ears, hearing tones that weren't there before. When they amplified them, the noise resembled distant voices, millions layered together, indistinct yet human. It was the sound of weather, machinery, heartbeat, and memory combined. The planet echoed its children. Somewhere between physics and mysticism, a consensus formed. Evolution had hardened humanity in ways the aliens could not conceive. Every war, every loss, every desperate adaptation had shaped minds capable of holding contradictions without shattering. Where the invaders sought purity, humans embraced noise. Where they sought harmony, humans thrived in dissonance. That difference was lethal. The realization frightened even those who celebrated it. If existence itself emitted this mental radiation, what would happen if humanity reached the stars? Would other civilizations collapse at the first whisper of contact? Would humanity become a plague of consciousness? Governments debated restrictions on deep space communication. Some nations cut power to large transmitters, fearing another tragedy in reverse. Others insisted on reaching out, desperate to prove that they could control the contagion of thought. The argument divided the planet, yet underneath it ran the same.